Marketing Your Private Practice is a podcast where you'll learn easy to implement tips and strategies to grow your business without spending all day online. I'm your host, Kathy Colaiacovo, and I teach practitioners the Thrive marketing method to create simple and streamlined plans by focusing on long-term strategies, not just social media. Discover ways to spend less time on your marketing, attract more clients, and build the financial freedom that comes with a thriving practice. One where you have time left in your day for the people and things that matter to you. Hey, private practice heroes. Thanks for tuning into the podcast. I'm your host, Kathy Colaiacovo, and today we are talking about something that most practice and business owners assume they already have covered. Tracking the data that can tell you what is actually working in your marketing and growing your practice. Now, you might think your electronic health record or your booking software is handling all this for you because it's collecting the information. But it's not in a way that is going to help you know what to do and where to focus so that you're getting the best results possible, which we all know means booking more clients. And what I want to cover with you today is why these systems were never built for this job and what one simple tracking tool can tell you about where your clients are coming from, what's bringing them into your business, and where you've been wasting time that you didn't need to waste. Now, I'm going to start off today with a question for you, and I want you to actually think about this, not just listen and nod. Do you actually know where your last 10 clients came from? I don't want you to guess about where they might have come. I want to know, do you have real data, numbers, dates, referral sources? And if the honest answer is not really, Kathy, then this episode is exactly what you need to hear today. Because here's what I see happening with practice owners over and over again. They think they're tracking this information because they're putting notes in their electronic health record, or they're relying on their booking system if they need to go check it and figure it out. Some people remember to jot something down on their intake form in their notes, and they assume that means they have the data that they need. But they don't, not in any way that's useful for helping you to know how and where and what you need to do to grow your business. And that gap between thinking that you're tracking and having the data that you need and actually having usable data is costing you clients. Electronic health records, your practice management software, whatever system you might be using to manage client files and appointments, those tools are built for one thing: managing client care. They're designed for scheduling, for putting in session notes, for billing, for insurance, for HIPAA compliance. And they are really, really good at those things. But marketing data? That's not what they were built for. Think about what you actually need to know to improve your marketing. Where did the person first hear about you? What were the exact words they used when they searched for help? Did they find you from a referral? And if so, from who? Did they book a consult? And how did they book that consult? Where did they find the link for it? Did that consult turn into a paid client? If it didn't, do you know why? How long did it take from first contact to first paid session? This is all information that you have in bits and pieces in your other systems, but it's not in any organized and searchable and usable way. Some of it might be buried in intake forms. Some of it might be in your memory. Some of it might be in your written notes. And most of it is gone in single solo records. It's not in a place where you can look at it all and use it to guide you for decision making and for marketing activities that you do with your business. All those sales activities, that is how you're going to grow the business. And that's the problem with relying on memory. Memory isn't data. Many people, which a lot of people will say, many people told me this, many people say they find me here, but many people is not an actual number. And I say this with much love, but I've had this conversation so much so recently and with enough clients in the past 17 years that I've been doing this work, that when we remember about where our clients come from and then we compare it with the actual data and what that shows, they are often very, very different things. I had a client once who, on our very first strategy session, was absolutely convinced that most of her clients came from social media. People always talked about her Instagram post. Many people. She probably spent 5 or 6, even 8 hours a week creating content for her Instagram because she felt like that's where she was showing up and where people were finding her. But when we actually sat down and looked at her real consult information and the client data that she had available to her, yes, it was in those programs, but we took it and collated it and looked at it, how people reached out to her, where their first contact came from, and why they were reaching out. And then we added in the results of those consults, what people were signing up for, what they didn't, and why, and even how long they were staying as a client and the revenue that she was earning from those people that did sign up. Well, I will tell you, that was a very eye-opening experience for her because Instagram didn't even make the top 5 places where people find her. Her actual top 2 sources were Google search and referral relationship, one that she had with a local therapist. The number 3 on the list was from insurance panels being listed on those websites as a provider. And number 4 and 5 were finished off by her health profs listing and then referrals from other people, mostly from one doctor's office, I think it was, and then some of her clients. And yet, because people would always mention some of her Instagram content to her, she had it in her head that many of these people found her there first. And because of that feeling, she had continued to spend the majority of her marketing time on Instagram, which, to be honest, was one of the least effective channels for her marketing. And she was doing this all because she didn't have real data. She had a feeling, that feeling because people were talking to her about it. And when we actually looked back at who was mentioning it to her, it was exactly the way that I had told her before we sought out the details and the information. Most of the people that would talk to her about what they saw on Instagram were already clients. So she was actually hearing it from current clients because, again, through all my time in working with the hundreds of clients that I have and the practitioners that I have, I see these same trends. And in her case, it was the very normal thing of once people become a client, they follow you on social media to see what else you have. So she was looking at this and she was realizing that these many people that kept saying that she had great information on Instagram were already her clients, but that wasn't where they found her in the first place. And that's what happens if you're not tracking the real data that you need to get the information that guides you with your marketing and the decisions you make from it. And the thing is, the data is there. Yes, it's in your electronic health record. It's in your booking system. It's in your email. It's in your inbox. But just because it exists there doesn't mean it's in a way that you can use it and use it to guide you in what you're doing. Your clients' actions and words will tell you where they came from, what they were looking for, and how and why they booked. There is a ton of information you can learn from every single time that somebody reaches out to you, no matter how they reach out. And every time they fill out an intake form or they're on a consult call with you or send you an email or make a phone call. The problem is when you're a small practice without access to a big IT team and a budget, who can make all of that information, pull it together for you in a fancy system that collates the data for you. When you don't have something like that and you just have your health record system, your practice management, your booking system, that's the only place for that information to go unless you do something with it. So that you can see the patterns, you can see the trends, you can see the numbers, you can see the averages, you can see all the results you're looking for. Your health record system has that "how did you hear about us" field on the intake form and why they reached out, which is great. But can you tell me in the last 6 months how many people were referred to you and who were they sent by? Can you actually see in your health record or your booking system how many of the people that booked a consult with you converted into paying clients and how many didn't? Can you see how much revenue you made from each client who did turn into a paying client? Can you see how much every client has paid you over time and understand the lifetime value of an average client for your business? Can you tell me if more people book with you using your online calendar versus emailing you first and then booking a call? In most of the systems out there that you have access to, you can't tell that information. You can't gather that data that I was just talking about. And those 5 different things, they are very important things to know and understand to guide you when it comes to marketing your practice or your business. But it's not what those systems are built to do. They're built to keep the records for one person at a time. Same thing with the booking software. It tells you who has an appointment. It doesn't tell you what happened afterwards. And it doesn't tell you the average of what happens with all of those appointments that you book. So you've got data, but it's scattered across 3 or 4 more systems. Some of it's in your head, and none of it is talking in a way that gives you a clear picture. You just don't have that easy way to look in one place and get the answers that you need from all of the information you do have access to. And this is why it's critical as solopreneurs, as small business owners, as people with a team of 1, maybe you, or a team of 4 or 5. You need to have a central place where you track these numbers that you can actually use to improve and optimize your marketing. Data that can tell you what's working and what's not. That is important for every practice owner to know. This information is key to your growth. Now, we're going to move into how do you get this and put this information together. But I'm just going to give you a little warning here. I'm going to say the word spreadsheet soon, and I don't want you to panic. Okay? I know. Some of you just had that little internal, oh, and I get it, but stick with me here. We're not talking about something that's really complicated. This is not a 47-tab monster spreadsheet that requires a degree in Excel to operate. Okay? Most practice owners that I work with, which are those solopreneurs, people with small teams looking to grow, looking to scale, most of you can get the information you need all in one place using a very simple spreadsheet, a clean tracking tool that has one job to help you collate the information, know what you need to gather, and then you can access it all in a way that's available to you so you can see the trends, you can see what's working. And it's no longer just a feeling because you're putting in real numbers for it. Now, here is what a really good client consult tracker can tell you. And there's 6 things that I like to get out of this information. Number 1, it can tell you where new clients are actually coming from. Not where you think they are, but where they're reaching out to you from for the first time. Is it Google? Is it a referral? Is it a blog post? Was it a colleague? And then when you have this information, you start to see over time what sources are really sending you clients and not just consults, but people that convert to clients. You also can see in here, if you're tracking it, how they reach out to you, because that gives you some inside information that people often miss. Most people don't realize how much you can gather just by looking at and knowing what method that someone reached out to you in the first place. Because if someone books a discovery call with you and the only place that they can get that is on your contact page, that tells you something. It means they were on your website. If they email you from your contact page form, that's another hint. They were there, but they didn't fill out the booking button. They emailed you. What about if they phone you? Where is your phone number online? Knowing all of this, having this data sheds more light on where somebody was before contacting you, which tells you where they are online before finding you, and it tells you where did they come to originally with your first point of contact. That place is really, really important. In the example that I was telling you about a minute ago, the dietitian that I was working with thought Instagram was the be all and end all because people talked to her about it all the time. But the reality was all of those reach outs she was having were on her website. And it was not a place where she actually had looked at and was focusing on and was updating. And there were some out of date information on there. And once we made some changes, she actually started booking more consults. And that's how this information helps you. She also stopped wasting a lot of her time on Instagram too. Now, the third thing that a good client consult tracker can tell you, if you write it down or keep track of it, is the words people are using, their problems that they're having when they reach out to you. When someone fills out your intake form or you talk to them on a call, they're often going to tell you in their own words what they were looking for, what their problem was, what they Googled, what's going on with them. And that language is marketing gold. It belongs in your website and your marketing copy. And if you're not capturing it, you're missing one of the most valuable tools out there that you have when it comes to researching your ideal client. If you've been listening to my podcast at all for a while or following me, you know that I talk about the words they say document all the time. I did an episode on this, number 66 on the podcast, and I will link to that in the show notes so you can understand a lot more about why I call the words they say marketing gold. When you have this tracker, if you write some of that information in there, which you can typically copy from the intake form or the email or type it in if you're talking to someone on a call, you're actually gathering a lot of really good information that helps guide your marketing content and your messaging too. Your consult to client conversion rate is a very important number for every service provider to know. And this one often surprises people. If I ask you, do you know what percentage of your consults actually book with you? What is your conversion rate? Every service provider out there, practitioner, coach, therapist, whatever service you offer, you need to know that rate. If you're doing 5 consults a month and one becomes a client, you've got a 20% conversion rate, 1 divided by 5. Is it good? Is it low? Is it getting better over time? You're not going to know unless you've been tracking. How many calls do you have and how many people turn into clients? Recently, I had a client debating if she should continue to offer a free discovery call or not. When we looked into the situation, she had a 90% conversion rate. So 9 out of 10 people, when they got on that free 20-minute call with her, turned into a client. Once we looked at that and she saw that number, she realized how vital those discovery calls were to her booking clients. So she left it on there. Now, I will say, because sometimes people are just ready to go and want to do a paid service to start with, so you can always have that there as an alternative. But she came to that call thinking, I really prefer it when they book the paid call. And when we looked at the numbers, she absolutely understood that if she had stopped doing those free calls, she would have actually slowed and probably even scaled back the growth of her practice. Data and real numbers tell you a lot more than feelings or just what you think is going on. What referral sources are actually worth your time is another thing that you can get out of tracking this information. Yes, you might have a spot on your form somewhere that says who referred you and you have a name, but can you tell me how many of these people are coming from each one of those sources? What percentage of these consults and referrals are you getting are coming from each referral partner? Are all of them sending you people? Are any of the people they send you signing on as clients? Or are you spending time on referral relationships that have never once resulted in a paying client? If you're just relying on the information that's in your health record or your intake questionnaires, and you don't have a spot where you can look at it and say, oh, well, out of the last 10, 3 of them were really good ones and 7 of them were duds. Knowing this information, the trends, the averages, the percentages, is what's going to tell you what to do when it comes to your marketing activities. And the last one I add in here because a lot of people believe they have a summer slump or a slow December or a busy January. And sometimes it is true. Sometimes it's a story, though, we've been telling ourselves for years. When you start tracking, you might find out that your slow summer is actually just as busy as any other time, or that your real slow season is a time of the year that is something you never really noticed before because you weren't tracking it. Understanding all of this information, it is something you can get from a very simple tracking tool, a spreadsheet. You don't need a fancy CRM or an expensive software tool to do all of this. A well-designed spreadsheet, one that you can actually use, takes you a few minutes after you have your calls, your consults. It's a type of charting for these calls or sessions, to be honest. And those few minutes can give you the real numbers and the data that can make all the difference in the world when it comes to knowing what to do and what will make your marketing work better to help you grow your practice and what might just be a waste of time. Now, I do want to add something in here before we wrap up, because I know what some of you might be thinking. Okay, Kathy, I get this, but I write this stuff down somewhere. I do have it. And I totally understand that. Maybe you do. You have the notes in your health record. You have maybe a Google Doc somewhere you put things down. Maybe you just have a general sense from memory. That is better than nothing that you've been gathering the information. I'm not going to pretend it's not. But scattered data has a real problem. You cannot see the patterns and the trends and the real message, the real story that data could tell you. Those patterns have something to say. 1 data point is just a fact. 10 data points in the same place where you can actually look at them together, that is when you start to see what's really happening in your practice. And if you're logging referral sources in your health record and booking notes or in a different system and client outcomes in another document somewhere, those pieces just never connect. You can't look at them all at once and say, oh, I see a pattern here. The picture stays fuzzy when you don't have access to the information in one place. So, a simple single tracking document like a spreadsheet, again, don't panic. Spreadsheets can be very helpful, but that one document can give you that one page view that will help you see all the messages your data is trying to tell you. Now, I created something like this for myself years ago, and I've updated it over time to turn it into what I call my client consult tracker. And it's something I use almost every time I work with a new client. We pull it out, I give them a copy. And once they see what they can learn from it, they always see the value in taking the time to collect and update the information because it truly can give you so much information that guides you with your business. And it's valuable, strategic, real life numbers. And that clarity from the data is what helps you make those better choices when it comes to what do you do with your marketing time? Where do you spend your time this month? What referral relationship should be getting a thank you and maybe a lunch? What should you write your next blog post or newsletter about? Is it time to look at your consult call process because things aren't working? Do your online directories need updating? I will tell you that one person who had people coming from health profs, she went and looked at her profile too, and there was some old out of date services on there. When she updated that, guess what happened? She started getting a few more referrals from health profs as well. There is so much information that is here, but people think that it takes too much time to track it. I promise you, the time that you spend inputting the information after each call into the tracker and then taking time every month to look at it and see what message it's saying, that time is going to pay off big time in the long run. Your tracker tells you all of this information because you have the info all in one place where it puts those pieces together. Your action steps for you today are to get a tracking document set up. And I know for some of you that might seem like a challenge. Where do you even start? What do you do? How do you get going with one? Well, I've got you covered here. I do have a free version of my clients to consults tracker template. And I do have a way for you to download it, and it will be in the show notes where you can get a copy of that. In the next episode, I'm actually going to share a little bit more on how to use it and what to put in it and information that you can do from the template that I've created. So what I want you to do after today's lesson is, number one, stop assuming that the data in your practice management software, your electronic health record, your booking system, all of those places, even your inbox, are giving you usable marketing data. If you are guessing at things, you need to have the information. It might have some of the numbers there, but pulling it out in a way that's easy to review and learn from, that's going to take you a little more time to set up in the beginning, but in the long run, it will be very worth getting in place. You need to decide what you actually want to know about your consults and clients. I definitely have some information in my tracker that will get you started, but there may be other things that you want to have in there that you want to add in. I always say start with three things. Where did they reach out to you from? What were they looking for? And did they become a client? Okay. That information alone teaches you a whole lot about your practice and your marketing and where to focus your time. And then start using this on a regular basis. Pull that data all together in one place. It doesn't have to be fancy. You just have to keep at it. Because when you can see that information in one spot, that's where you're going to start seeing where you need to change things. And it's something you simply can't see when it's scattered information across different systems. The hardest part will be getting started, but once you do, the messages and the information you get from all of that is going to be gold. I promise you. So if you haven't already, make sure you grab from the show notes link that free client to consults tracker. And in the next episode, I'm going to walk you through how you can set it up and use it. My biggest message for you today is I know that you know in your head, you work with clients, how many you have, how many you might see, how many you probably saw last week or have planned for next month. And that's all great information. And you might have an idea that they came from here or there, from Google, from the insurance panel, from a friend, from a colleague, from a doctor, a therapist that you connect with all the time. But that scattered information just doesn't help you grow your practice or your business. This is Kathy Colaiacovo signing off. Thank you so much for tuning in today. And remember, to thrive in practice or business means making decisions that are based on real data, not memory, not guesses. Get a system in place to track what's actually working, and your marketing will get a whole lot simpler, and better yet, you're going to get more results. I'll see you next time. You can find all of our show notes and resources mentioned at marketingyourprivatepractice.com. Be sure to connect with me on Instagram at pepperitmarketing and say hi. I'd love to hear any feedback you have, and make sure to rate and review the podcast and hit subscribe on your favorite player so you don't miss any future episodes.